All right. So we'll start with the basics of biochemistry. Later on, as we go into a few chapters, I will integrate you all with normal BSc classes as well. But for now, we'll look at the simple introduction of biochemistry, some of the basic topics like cell and all, and after that, we'll get into slightly more complex topics. Now, first of all, how does biochemistry and nursing correlate with each other, and why is biochemistry important for nurses? See, when you want to study biochemistry, especially as a nurse, you have to study it for two main reasons, or there are two important ways through which it can be helpful. First of all, for understanding and maintenance of health. Okay, especially from a diagnostic point of view, whenever you have a lot of diagnostic techniques, biochemical techniques, diagnostic procedures being performed, you need to understand, or you need to have some basic knowledge of biochemistry for you to understand what is going on, what type of test has been done, what are the interpretation of tests, and what does that test tell you, or what do those all of those tests tell you about a single patient. Okay. Now, one patient might have several tests done on them. So, what does that combination of result that you get from several tests tell you about the patient's health? And it is essential. Biochemistry is essential to understand the implementation of a treatment for a specific treatment regimen, to understand how a disease is working and to understand how that disease is being treated as such. You need to have some basic biochemistry knowledge. Along with that, in your syllabus you will be studying about metabolism of a lot of metabolism of a lot of components like carbohydrate, protein, fats, metabolism, okay, which can be impaired in certain diseases. So if you want to understand why those metabolic processes get impaired in a disease, you need to understand what is happening normally. Early then you'll be able to study the abnormal. Okay. It will help you monitor and progress the response of different patients. You'll be able to, you'll be able to perform early diagnosis of a disease. Okay, through different screening tests. You can see different markers of diseases, for example biochemical molecular markers of diseases, for example अगर physical aging हो रही, या फिर if there are any drugs present in the patient's blood, parasites, the storage of oxygen, how is it occurring? For example, what is the saturation of hemoglobin of a patient's blood? If there are any genetic problems that the patient might be having, are there any immunological agents that might be responsible for damage to your body or damage to the cells of your body? To understand all of these and to understand several other disease conditions, biochemistry becomes a very important topic. Now, coming to cell, which is the most basic topic that we'll be talking about. Now, you've already read about cell and anatomy physiology last year, so I'll not go into a lot of detail, just cover it from an overall perspective. Okay. Cell is the most basic of the structural components of your body, structural and functional unit of your body. उसका सबसे basic unit will be a cell. Okay. Now you have two different broad categories of cells. You have eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. All right. Prokaryotic cells are prokaryon, as the name suggests. This name comes from before nucleus. Prokaryotes. Okay. Pro means before, carry-on means nucleus. So these ones were uh, defined, or these ones appeared before eukaryotes appeared, or before a nucleus had a proper membrane around it. Okay. Now there are a number of differences that will be present between eukaryotes and prokaryotes, but one of the main differences that you need to remember is that prokaryotes prokaryotes are essentially making up your bacteria. Okay. Bacteria, certain other prokaryotes, they all have prokaryotic cell. Okay. Eukaryotic cells are present in more advanced organisms, for example humans में, animals में, या फिर plants में, उसके अंदर eukaryotic cells रहते हैं. Now if you look at the differences between these two, I'll show you an image. Hold on. See, this is the basic difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Okay. On an average, if you see, there are size differences, there are differences in the way reproduction is performed. One of the major differences, that is, normally prokaryotes undergo binary fission. Sometimes they even undergo conjugation reactions. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, have mitosis and meiosis occurring in them, and in them, the genetic material is in the form of chromosomes that are paired. The diploid chromosomes are present in eukaryotes, whereas haploid chromosomes, single chromosomes structures will be present inside prokaryotes. ठीक है, ribosomal differences आते, membrane differences आते, individual cell organelles that are present, they might not be membrane bound in prokaryotes, whereas they are membrane bound in eukaryotes. Eukaryotes have a proper nucleus, whereas prokaryotes do not have, and that nucleus in eukaryotes is bound by a nuclear membrane. ठीक है, प्रोकैरियोट्स में देयर विल बी न्यूक्लियर मटेरियल बट देयर विल बी नो न्यूक्लियस. ठीक है, बिग डिफरेंस. न्यूक्लियस इज अ organelle in which nuclear material, DNA, RNA, whatever it might be, that is enclosed inside a membrane, that is your nuclear membrane. Prokaryotes will not have that. They just have some DNA or some RNA lying around in their cytosol or in their cell, essentially. Okay. Now, right. Coming to different components of your cells, also called cell organelles. The you can think of cell organelles as small organs of the cell. Just like you have organs inside your body. Now, each and every one of you will have, I hope all of you have two kidneys, one liver, one brain, and all of that. The same way, your cell will have certain cell organelles which are responsible for normal functioning of that cell. Okay, so I'll show you a small image. Just hold on one second. Yeah, देखो. This is how an average cell looks. Now you have different types of cells which will have their own uniqueness, but on an average, if you see a cell, it will look something like this. Okay, it is a structure, small structure, which has a lot of smaller structures present inside them called cell organelles, and it is covered by a membrane. ठीक है, उसको plasma membrane बोलते हैं. In eukaryotic cells, you will have something called a plasma membrane, which is enclosing, or it is binding all of the cytosol, and it is binding all the cell organelles present inside the cell. All right. Now, normally you will see that in textbooks and all, they will the diagram of cell is very two-dimensional. Okay, cell is drawn like this, but in reality, it is not like that. Okay, it's a very three-dimensional structure, and it's a very interesting structure. Now, anyway, if we come to the cell organelles, there are 10 major cell organelles that are present inside your cell, which are important for day-to-day functions and survival of that cell. The first and the most important one is nucleus, also called the brain of the cell. Okay. This is the part of the cell that contains DNA, it contains chromosome, it contains nuclear membrane, and it is responsible for giving instructions to your body. Okay. Because it contains DNA, it also has the genetic material for future generations. Okay. It will also have a small body present inside of it called nucleolus. Nucleolus is responsible for production of ribosomes. I will talk about what ribosomes are in a bit, but for now, just remember that if you look at a nucleus like this, inside the nucleus, so you have DNA material, the double helix that you have. One second, let me draw it like this. Okay, the DNA double helix material that you have. Along with that, you will have a small body, small dark color body like this, called the nucleolus. So this is the nuclear membrane. This is the DNA material, and this is the nucleolus. One second. Okay. Now, this why is this nucleus very important? This DNA or RNA, whatever type of nuclear material is present inside the nucleus, is responsible for giving different commands to your cell. Okay, let's suppose your nucleus or your cell has to secrete certain hormones. For example, hmm, let us suppose we are talking about the cells of your pancreas. In your pancreas, you have islets of Langerhans in which you have alpha cell, beta cell, delta cell, and so on. Beta cell is responsible for the production of insulin. So, for example, let us suppose I look at a beta cell. Let us suppose this is a beta cell. Whenever there is a need for production of insulin, your brain will stimulate this cell to produce insulin. Now, That stimulus which is coming from the brain will go to the nucleus of the cell. Nucleus in turn will cause the production of certain proteins. Those proteins are responsible for production of hormones or production of certain chemicals that will be secreted by the cell. Without a nucleus, that relay of information cannot happen, and that nucleus will not be able to think for itself. Okay, I am getting an instruction. The brain is telling me to produce so and so hormone. So what I will do is I will produce a certain protein. From that protein, I will be able to produce a hormone. ये पूरा करने के लिए it is acting as an information center essentially. ठीक है. Nucleus also has a number of enzymes which are responsible for division, but essentially यहाँ पर relay of information and production of information is one of the most important functions of your nucleus. Did you understand till this point, or do you want me to repeat anything? Are you able to follow along? See, if you have any doubts, please feel free to stop me at any time and ask doubts, okay? I'll generally keep on going at this pace thinking that you are understanding. If you have doubts, please feel free to stop me and ask doubts. You can even put it in the chat. Either way is fine.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm taking it as if no one is having any doubts. If you have doubts, please feel free to stop me and ask, okay? Now,
Okay, sir.
coming to the next cell organelle, we have endoplasmic reticulum. One second. Endoplasmic रेटिक्यूलम, इसको ER भी बोलते, not the ER of your hospital. Okay, this is not emergency room. This is endoplasmic reticulum. Now, this is a very special organism, or organelle specifically, sorry, that is divided into two components. So, endoplasmic reticulum comes in two different variants. You have rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Both of them have their own function. Okay? These are essentially cytoplasmic folds. Okay? Think of them as how should I put it? Hold on, I'll show you the image itself how they look, so it will be easier for you to understand. See the blue color structure that you can see here, that is endoplasmic reticulum. Specifically, it is rough endoplasmic reticulum. Here you can see what is the difference between rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. These will be in direct continuation with your nucleus. Nucleus directly attached will be certain folds of cytoplasm that are the specific type of network of folds that will contain, tubules, vesicles, and sacs. But essentially, that is your endoplasmic reticulum. Now, the closer one to the nucleus will be rough endoplasmic reticulum because it has ribosomes on its surface. Ribosomes का function protein synthesis है, and rough endoplasmic reticulum का function is to process those proteins. Whenever proteins are being produced by those ribosomes, they are packed into small tubules, small vesicles by this rough endoplasmic reticulum, and it will secrete those small vesicles into the cell. Whenever that vesicle is being stimulated, it will release that protein out. Okay. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum, on the other hand, has a more enzymatic function. Okay. It is responsible for production of detoxification. It is responsible for detoxification of drugs. It is responsible for oxidative metabolism. Whenever you consume a drug, let us suppose you consume paracetamol. Okay. Let us suppose you eat paracetamol. That drug goes inside your body, it will reach your liver, and it will get metabolized inside your liver. What happens inside your liver is the toxic material of that drug will be removed, and whatever is necessary for your body, only that will be used. Now, this filtering or the removal of those toxic components is specifically done by smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. I hope you understood what is endoplasmic reticulum, the two types of endoplasmic reticulum. Then, now, other than that, smooth endoplasmic reticulum has a few more functions. It will also be responsible for synthesis of lipids and steroids. Lipids are responsible for, or lipids are used in several functions. For example, lipids are used to make your cell membrane healthy. It is responsible for making all the membranes around your body. Okay? Without lipids, the membranes around your body will not be able to function properly. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum is helping in the synthesis of those lipids, also in the production of steroid hormones. Steroid hormones like testosterone and estrogen, those are produced by smooth endoplasmic reticulum, meaning they are mainly produced by the testes or ovary, but inside the testes and ovary, the cells, or specifically the components of cell that are producing it, is your smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay. RER, the important function is RER का, इसको RER बोलते हैं, रफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम, इसको SER बोलते हैं, स्मूथ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम. RER का important function is protein synthesis. Technically is protein packing, because ribosomes are synthesizing the protein and these fellows are packing, but anyway, protein synthesis. And यहाँ पर it is lipid and steroid synthesis. Lipid and steroid synthesis. Okay. By steroid, I mean steroid hormones like estrogens, progesterones, testosterone, so on and so forth. Then we have the third component of cells, which is called Golgi complex. Okay. Golgi complex is present in all cells inside your body except RBCs. RBCs or erythrocytes will not have any Golgi complex altogether. These are present very close to the nucleus. Okay. They are technically very closely linked to the ER as well. They are very closely linked to endoplasmic reticulum. I'll show you how a Golgi complex looks. Hey, dekho. Here you can see what is a Golgi complex. The pink color structures, not exactly pink, whatever that color is, peach type of color, that is a Golgi complex. Okay. The major function of Golgi complex is glycorylation of protein. Glycorylation of protein essentially means certain proteins will combine with certain carbohydrates. ठीक है, वो स्पेशल टाइप ऑफ प्रोटीन्स को ग्लाइकोप्रोटीन्स बोलते हैं. There are certain proteins that are linking with carbohydrates. Those proteins are called glycoproteins. Golgi complex functions by making those glycoproteins. Along with that, it is responsible for formation of lysosomes. In a little while, I'll tell you what lysosomes are. Lysosomes are also a part of your cell, very important component actually. Golgi complex are responsible for production of lysosomes. They are important for production of glycoproteins. Other than that, they are responsible for processing, sorting, and delivery of proteins. So all the protein that are being synthesized by your endoplasmic reticulum, specifically rough endoplasmic reticulum, that goes into your Golgi complex or Golgi apparatus, whatever you call it, that Golgi apparatus will take those proteins, it will cover it with vesicles, and it will store it. Whenever it is necessary, that protein will be released and its function is realized. Then we have mitochondria, one of the most important components of the cell, also called the powerhouse of the cell. Okay. Erythrocytes do not contain mitochondria. Keep that in mind. Mitochondria is absent in erythrocytes. Now, mitochondria itself has its own DNA and ribosomes. There will be small amount of DNA and ribosomes present inside the mitochondria. उसको mitochondrial DNA या mitochondrial ribosome भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है. Mitochondria is responsible for generation of energy in the form of ATP. Whenever you are consuming food, it gets digested. That digested glucose and digested food is absorbed by your cells, and those cells will convert that glucose into ATP. Okay? That is the energy currency of your body. Whenever there are certain metabolic processes going on in the cell, actually mitochondria is one of the most important components of these metabolic processes. For example, अगर glycolysis है या TCA cycle है, ऐसे बहुत सारे processes they will occur in cytosol and they will occur in mitochondria. Here it is helping in the conversion of those molecules into ATP so that the cell can survive. Okay? And generally these molecules are metabolized, or these molecules are converted into energy in the presence of O2, in the presence of oxygen. ठीक है. Mitochondria also plays an important role at this level of cellular respiration. Without mitochondria, it will not happen. Okay. Now coming to the next cell component, we have lysosomes. Lysosomes, see, lyso means dissolving, somes mean body. Soma essentially means body. ठीक है. Whenever you come across a term named soma, it means body. ठीक है. Lyso का मतलब dissolving है. So lysosomes are small components that are present inside your cell. These contain single membranes have enveloped रहते हैं. They have a single membrane around them, and they have digestive enzymes. These are also called digestive tract of the cell. Now, why is it called so? Whenever there is a how should I put it? Whenever there is a foreign object or whenever there is a foreign organism that is entering inside your cell, lysosomes will lyse that molecule. Lysosomes will go, they will, this vesicle will burst open and it will damage that particular foreign body. Okay, for example, let us suppose inside your cell, hmm, let us suppose this is your cell, there is this lysosome and there is a bacteria that is entering into your cell. Let us suppose this is the bacteria. This lysosome will reach this bacteria, it will open up near that bacteria, and as a result what will happen is there are a few enzymes present inside this lysosome. They're also called lysozymes. Lysosomal enzymes भी बोलते हैं लोगों को. These lysosomal enzymes are released onto the surface of that bacteria or that foreign particle. As a result, what will happen is that foreign particle will die. Okay. Also, it is responsible for autolysis. One of the very important functions of lysosomes uh, is autolysis. What is autolysis? Let us suppose a cell becomes very old. Okay, it is not able to perform its normal functions and it is about to die. When it is about to die, the nucleus of the cell will stimulate lysosomes in such a way that lysosomal enzymes will get released. Now, there is not just only one lysosome inside your cell, there are several lysosomes. All of them will start releasing lysosomal enzymes inside the cell. As a result, what will happen is the cell itself will get dissolved. The cell will die whenever lysozymes are released inside the cell. ठीक है. That is autolysis, essentially self killing भी बोलते हैं इसको. Whenever the cell is getting very old, that is when it will stimulate lysosomes and lysosomal enzymes will essentially destroy the components of the cell. Okay. Then we have the next component of the next cell organelle called centrosome. Now, centrosome का main function is in cell division. ठीक है. Centrosome takes a very important role, especially in mitosis. Now, mitosis के time पे, I'm not sure whether you've been taught about mitosis or not. Have you been taught about mitosis? Mitosis and meiosis. याद है what is mitosis and meiosis? Cell division, how it occurs? There are four different phases of cell division. You'll have prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. No? Don't remember it. Acha, then just remember it this way. Centrosomes are very important for division of the nuclear material. For example, whenever a cell is dividing, let us suppose a diploid cell divides. It is initially 2n, right? Sorry, diploid, right? 2n number of chromosomes are present inside. Two sets of chromosomes are present inside the cell. When this fellow will divide, what initially happens is the genetic material inside it becomes 4n, and that 4n gets divided in such a way that each of the daughter nuclei or the daughter cell that are formed, both of them are 2n and 2n. Okay. Now, in the process of this division, specifically in your metaphase and anaphase, what happens is these there are certain spindle fibers that are formed, and those spindle fibers will attach with chromosomes. As a result, what will happen is that 4n जो बना जो double हुआ DNA material, that is getting divided equally in both of the daughter nuclei. That is the important function of centrosome. Okay, just remember it that way. If you want to actually get into the depth of it, then I would suggest एक बार cell division पढ़ो. What is mitosis and meiosis? There are small molecules present at the end of metaphase on both the ends of the cell. ठीक है? They will start releasing spindles towards the centromere of the chromosome, and they will start splitting apart the chromosome. That is the function of your centrosome. Then another cell organelle that you have is microtubules. Microtubules are made of a special type of protein called tubulin. ठीक है? These are also components of your cilia, flagella. उसके अंदर microtubules present रहते हैं. Their function is to support, ठीक है, to maintain the shape of the cell. Whatever shape your cell has, वो shape maintain करने के लिए microtubules play a very important role. If that microtubule is not present, the cell itself will break down essentially. ठीक है? Then, other than that, these microtubules are also responsible for transportation. So, inside the cell, let us suppose a nucleus or any vesicle wants to move from one end to the other. What happens is microtubules will attach to that particular molecule. For example, let us suppose mitochondria wants to move from one place to other. Let us suppose this is the mitochondria and it wants to move from one end of the cell to other. Microtubules, छोटे छोटे fibers जैसे रहते हैं, they will go and hook onto this and they will contract. As a result, what will happen is it will act as a spring. So if you attach the one end of the spring to let's suppose something and you pull it towards yourself, because of that spring-like action, that object will move towards you, right? Same thing will happen with microtubules. Those cell organelles will essentially move because of the contraction of microtubules. Then there is cell membrane. See, I'll generally keep on going at this pace thinking that you are understanding. If you're having doubts or if you want me to repeat anything, please feel free to ask me, and you can stop me at any time and ask me questions, because I assume that you are understanding. That is why I keep going at this pace. If you're not understanding, you have to ask. Okay? Because I cannot see your faces and it'll become harder for me to understand whether you understood or not. So you'll have to speak up for yourself. All right. Now, cell membrane is, you know what a cell membrane is. It is responsible, it is the outermost structure of your cell, and it is responsible for maintaining the shape of the cell. Without cell membrane, your cell will lose its shape. Okay? And it will provide a proper boundary for your cytoplasm and organelles as well. Whenever an enzyme or any electrolyte that needs to come inside the cell, it has to go through cell membrane. So these cell membranes are selectively permeable. They will not allow everything to come inside. They will only allow certain components in certain tissues, certain, sorry, not tissues, certain components, certain ions to come inside. There is generally a weight cap, in the sense that anything that is more than 25,000 daltons, these small organelles are measured in the form of daltons. Okay? Anything more than 25,000 daltons, generally those molecules will not be able to enter inside your cell. Okay? Then there is peroxisomes. The last component you have peroxisomes. Now, peroxisomes are also called microbodies. Okay? These peroxisomes are oval, small vesicle-like. Okay? They have a special type of enzyme called catalase. Now, what is the importance of peroxisomes? Peroxisomes are very similar to lysosomes, but their uh, peroxisomal enzyme, जो catalase रहता, that is specifically responsible for lipid metabolism. ठीक है? Specifically, catalase, it also protects your body from hydrogen peroxide. Whenever there are free radicals and whenever there is hydrogen peroxide, कभी कभी क्या होता, आपके cells, there are several cells in your body, right? Some of these cells will produce certain toxic components. Okay, as a part of metabolism, they will produce certain toxic components like hydrogen peroxide, superoxide. Okay, these are radicals, free radicals that can damage other cells. To neutralize those hydrogen peroxide and to neutralize those free radicals, your body needs peroxisomes. Peroxisomes will be able to digest those enzymes or to digest those components. And finally we have ribosomes. Now, ribosomes are very, very, very important components of your body because they are the centers where protein can be formed. Now, why is protein formed? इसको factories of protein synthesis भी बोलते हैं. Proteins are, think of proteins like commands. Okay, your nucleus is giving a command to different cell organelles using proteins, and ribosomes are components of your cell that can read the protein. So, for example, let us suppose you are studying in a let's suppose you are studying in a French college. Example. Okay. Let us suppose you are studying in a French college and you are still learning how to talk about French. Example. Okay. And let us suppose the principal of the college sends a circular saying that, okay, tomorrow there will be an assembly at 9 a.m. in the morning. And that letter is written in French. Okay. That is a command that is being given by the principal. Now, along with that command, there will be one fellow who will come to each and every class and they will read out that. Let's suppose there is a fellow who is coming with the command and he is reading out that command. Okay. Even though it is in French, that fellow will interpret it in English and he will tell it to you. So, in this scenario, the principle is the nucleus, that command is the protein, and the interpretation is being done by ribosomes. Okay, so that you can understand it. So, you will be cell organelle in that manner. I hope you understood the metaphor here. Ribosomes are components that are responsible for synthesis of proteins and to make sure that those proteins are performing their own function properly. Okay. Without ribosomes, proteins cannot be synthesized. And ribosomes also play a small part in the synthesis of lipids. Without ribosomes, lipid synthesis will also not occur. Okay. So that is about cell and cell organelles, structure of cell and cell organelles. That completes our first chapter, first unit. I hope you understood this. Now I'll be going over